that. Welcome to Rhythm and Roads. I'm your host, Joshua Jacob. We have a very special guest with us. We have writer, actor, and director Guillermo Portillo. Welcome to Rhythm and Roads.
Hey, good to be here. How you doing?
Yeah, great, man. Such a pleasure to have you on. Looking forward to hearing your story. And it was a pleasure meeting you at the Las Cruces International Film Fest.
Yeah, it was really fun to be there, be able to support. Didn't have anything in the festival this year, but it was really nice to see everybody support and
Yeah.
not have that pressure and stress that I know most of them were feeling. So
Right. No, yeah, man. I mean, thank you for being there to support other filmmakers and actors. And hopefully we'll see one of your works down the road. That way I can go and check out
yeah,
your films. But yeah, man, I just want to thank you for your time being here. I know everyone's busy these days, but I really appreciate you coming on. And we definitely want to start with your journey, the beginning, season one, episode one of Gitmo. So, what was, if you can recall, what was the starting point for you when you were young that that you wanted to pursue acting, being a director and all that? So, if you want to share a bit of your about yourself.
um, yeah, of course. I never had ambitions to be an actor or a writer, or director, any of that stuff. Well, I grew up. That was way beyond reach at the moment of me growing up. I never even considered it.
Oh wow, okay.
When I was so yeah, I grew up between Las Cruces, New Mexico, and San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, cool. I like San
And
Antonio.
and yeah, so my family is Piro, which is a Native American tribe that originated in central New Mexico and at one point was brought to the El Paso, Juarez area by the Spaniards at one time.
Okay.
And so that's how I got tied into, coming back every summer. Well, when I got older, I got into a lot of trouble. And when I was in high school, my family moved back to Las Cruces.
Okay.
And I had a cousin that was going to high school that was, it's Oregon Mountain now, but it was Oñate High School back in the day.
Okay.
And he was taking a stagecraft class. And I didn't know what that was, but he said, it's super fun, super easy, just take it. So I walked in one day when they were in the middle of rehearsal, and it was just, dark stage, the lights, the glitz, and I thought it was really cool. But the class was for stagehands. It was all technical. It was all behind the scenes. So
Mm.
I got roped into that, and I did that for a lot of years,
Oh wow.
working with. There used to be a union in El Paso, 153. No longer, it's no longer exists. But
Oh, okay.
that's a whole nother podcast. So
All right.
but I did that for a long time. I went back to school and I was going for business when the CMI program at the university
Oh, cool.
started.
Yeah.
So I switched majors and moved over. And rest in power, Mike Lawrence. He was running the technical, what is it, the FTTP program, the Field Training Technician program.
Okay.
And he found out I was a stagehand and says, "Hey, being a grip isn't much different. So come here." And I just took off from there. I started working a lot of
Oh,
behind the scenes, gripping, did some electric work,
nice.
and just years passed by, and I decided I wanted to get married. I kind of left the business for a little while, and settled down, got a regular 9 to 5, like the normal gente,
Hmm.
and. I decided to go back to school for film. I had ideas that I wanted to do a documentary about my family.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a project I'm working on. But yeah, I wanted to do that, so I went back to school with my wife's blessing, and to sacrifice that time for that. But I was working full time, going to school, and I was in an audio sound class,
Oh, nice.
and they gave us lines to record while the others were recording us to say, and it was my turn, and it was el mariachi. So I was doing the whole accent, and people were like, "Oh, that was cool," and it just something bit me, and I
Yeah.
just, oh, what do I got to do next? I want to try it and try this and that, and um, they were auditioning for murder mystery theater in El Paso,
Oh, okay.
and I told my wife, "Well, let's see if they even pick me, if I even got anything that what I mean. They would be like, okay, we can use you." And so I just did it for fun, and I got picked, and I did that for about a year, hosting,
Oh, is that
ghosting.
right?
Yeah, so
Dude,
it was
that's
a lot of
cool.
fun. And after that, there's just been one thing after another. So,
Wow, man. And that's good for your wife to give you permission to go back to school.
yeah, she's been really supportive.
Dude.
Been a producer on most of the things I work on anyway.
Really?
So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
she usually helps out. So
That's really good that you got the support from her and that she's definitely supporting your dreams and your goals. But man, what a trip that you and this documentary that you mentioned that you're doing about your family, is it still in production or it was already done?
yeah, no, it's in production.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, I've been self-funding it, and so it's been in production. I'm getting interviews because I want to do it in a certain style that represents who I am,
Okay.
but also who my people are and who my family is.
Oh wow.
Um, One of the things about it is it's funny because my middle name is actually a last name. It's Avalos,
Oh,
and
okay.
there's a lot of history tied to that name as one of the 10 original families that came from El Paso to Las Cruces
Oh
back
wow.
in like the 1850s.
Yeah.
And when I was looking up about the names, trying to figure out for this documentary, I found out that okay, so in some of the census, it's written with a V, Avalos. That's how mine is. But
Okay.
originally, a lot of them have it Abalos.
Oh.
So I happen to be looking that up, and I find out that Abalos with the B
Hmm.
is a reference to a place in Spain called Abalos. And
Oh
if you come
wow.
from there, that's where the name comes from.
Huh.
And so I think that whoever had my family when it was El Paso Juarez
Yeah.
in Paso del Norte, we were named after that family, the Abalos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
That's
so that's where
interesting.
that name comes
Wow, man. I didn't even that.
from. Yeah.
Interesting. And so, you said you've directed some films. Is this documentary your first, or you've had one prior?
I've had them prior. I've co-directed, and one of the first I did was a short called Inconvenience.
Oh,
So,
okay. You want to share a bit on one of your films?
yeah. Well, Inconvenience is just it was supposed to be about kind of the COVID, the inconvenience of the masks and everything, and
Oh, okay.
um, but I just it was something I wrote. I shared it with a friend, and it just kind of took off. He was like, "Let's do it," and I was like, well, wait, what?" And before I knew it, he had the location, he had this, and so we just okay, let's do it. And
Dang, that's cool.
yeah, it was in High Rolls, right outside of Cloudcroft. I headed up that way. The little
Okay.
convenience store up there. If you're ever up by High Rolls or the Apple or Cherry Festival, then I suggest stopping by. It's a really really cool little store. They have these little soaps that I had to buy like I don't know 10 of them when I was there just because they were really one of those things.
Is it like with the handmade soaps or?
Yeah, it's one of those
Okay.
all natural handmade
Yeah, those are
type
pretty.
soaps.
They
But
smell pretty nice. I like those.
yeah, we spent a I think a whole day up in that store filming different areas. But it's these two guys in their car and talking about life and situations going on, and
Yeah.
they're one of the friends is having a hard time, so he's eventually starts joking about wanting to rob the store, and my character's like, what? And before you know it, there's an actual robbery that they end up having to stop, and I mean, kind of just a fun little,
Yeah.
something to film and put together. But
That's
I think all in all, it was me and a friend, Mike Bricker, and obviously my wife and a bunch of other people. Um, yeah, so
so
it
a
was
lot
just
of your journey from the start has been on theater then. Is that correct?
yeah, and most of it was actually behind the scenes.
Oh wow. Yeah. As
Yeah,
stagehand
so
and yeah.
mhm,
Okay.
until I went back to school the second, third time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I took a lot of in the middle of taking all my classes at CMI for film because I
Mhm.
graduated with digital filmmaking
Okay.
degree. I also got a minor in theater and spent a lot of time
Oh, you
training.
did. Nice.
So yeah, I've done that, and that's kind of part of the history. The rest have been film and TV.
Nice. I'm familiar with certain people that are in theater, and I know they mentioned that if you ever want to direct a film or work with actors, the way to start is by being part of theater, kind of like getting
Yeah,
the experience of that first. So I take it's very true because you started in theater and you were a grip and did everything, well, a stagehand, but got the experience on theater that you can utilize for film as well.
Oh yeah, it's definitely helped me. Okay, I'll tell you a funny story. One of the films I worked on, where I did back kind of background work, but also was a PA on, was
Okay.
Wanted Man with Dolph Lundgren,
Oh, okay.
and um, one of the PAs that was assisting him right before I came on apparently had gotten COVID,
Mm,
so he left set, and they needed somebody to just help out and be there for Dolph. And since I had just gotten there, I kind of drew the short straw.
okay.
So if you know, if you've seen any of Dolph Lundgren movies, he's very a light skinned individual. And so I had to
Yeah.
hold the umbrella many times for him.
Okay.
But one of the fun things is being very technical minded, but also an actor is while he's walking around, I have to keep that shadow of the umbrella on him while he's trying to direct and act and move. And all these guys are putting cameras and moving gear. And I felt like I was a ballerina because I was turning and I have that spatial awareness where like I see the camera coming and I'm like, okay, I need to move out of the way for
Yeah.
him, or you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so just having fun with it, you know what I mean? Taking that
Yeah.
opportunity to just be like, it is what it is and we're gonna enjoy it. So
Oh, that's cool, man.
yeah.
Interesting. Um, I want to get into because I noticed on your Instagram page there was a photo that said Netflix on the mat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so what's the
Um
story behind that?
I
I
had the
guess you're on part of
privilege.
yeah.
Yeah, I've done a few little things, but I had the privilege of doing Pulse.
Okay, cool.
That came out.
Yeah.
I play a character who's getting a spinal tap.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a little thing I got to go out. They even did a whole prosthetics on my back, and
What? They
you know,
did?
yeah. So
Wow. So how was the experience being on Netflix? Just on the sets and all that?
well, I spent a day. It took about a day to film my part of my scenes and stuff, but very fast,
Yeah.
very fast pace, very let's go. And you know what I mean. There was a few moments of waiting while they originally set up the scene, but other than
Yeah.
that, it was it's quick. Let's get this, do that, that. Come here, and I was nervous because I knew the woman that directed what is it, The Boys, had
Oh,
done some directing on The Boys, directed my episode,
oh, okay.
and so there's a lot of that, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The individual did my prosthetic. I forget his name offhand, but he also did The Walking Dead.
Oh,
You
he
know what I
did?
mean? So
Oh,
it's
cool.
really cool. I was, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, there with them being kind of aided. One of the things too was they had a cast in the back of the prosthetic because they
Okay.
wanted the realism of an actual needle to pull out fluid.
Yeah.
So they had to set that up, and we had to, you know,
Dang.
fittings and trying things on. And one of the funny things is they weren't sure how far they were going to see my back, so they extended the prosthetic all the way to like the top of my cheeks. And
Really?
so I had this open robe and this back with these cheeks. And so when I was on break, I would stand up so they could switch things out.
Yeah.
And all these background and all these other actors are behind me. And at the beginning, they didn't realize. And so I'm standing there and I start just kind of sashaying just enough to where people are like, wait, they have to take a second look because they're not sure if I'm actually clothed or not. But obviously I was. So,
That's funny, man.
like I say, you know, gotta have
Fun
fun while
memory,
you're
huh?
working.
That's funny. Can you share a bit of what films or shows you have been on? Like television shows or movies?
I did an episode of Cleaning Lady. I did Pulse. What else? Something you might know is Wanted Man. Um, I did In the Summers, which is a short that went to Canes and got a lot of, you know what I mean, reviews. It did one there, but it was all filmed here in Cruces. So I got the privilege of doing background at the same time as like stepping away for a scene here and there.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what I mean? So it's been a different experience where I'd be in the van driving actors and they don't know that I'm another actor. You know what I mean? And then they'll
Yeah.
see me one day on set. Um, it still hasn't come out, but Olmo is coming out soon. I guess it's been on the film festival circuit,
Which film?
and I did Olmo.
Oh, Olmo.
It's a coming of age, trying to get the girl while taking care of the grandpa, and
Oh,
it's going to be funny.
okay.
Um, but I played one of the characters in one of the funeral scenes. Just, you know what I mean, a
Oh,
real
okay.
small thing. And the rest of the time, I'm doing flagging. I'm helping the rest of production with PA work and stuff, and um,
Nice.
it was just one of those funny things where I get to do both, being front
Yeah.
and behind the camera. And like you said, it's helped being a stagehand and
All
being a
right.
grip. Talking about being a grip, one of the first projects I did was I had a friend that got me on Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
think
got
isn't
to
that what we
grip.
talked about when we were at the
Yeah,
festival? Yeah.
yeah, we talked a little bit about it.
That's so cool. So
That
you got
and
to meet who did you meet on the set?
um, I didn't get to meet Harrison Ford, but I was a couple of times I was pretty close to him when we were either on lunch break or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The filming of when he falls out of the plane in that fridge. I don't know if you've
Oh yeah,
seen
I
it.
remember that. Yeah.
I'm like 2 feet from him. And they
What?
have a bounce, and then he's yelling when he opens it up. He yells at like a squirrel or something.
Oh,
But
right.
during the
Yeah.
scene, there's a little like a little stuffed animal squirrel or whatever
Yeah, yeah.
that he's actually yelling out to give him something to look at. But yeah, so we got to talk to Steven Spielberg. There was a day when, so the opening scene, when there's the Russian guards that are pretending to be U.S. military,
All right. Right.
it was filmed. There's Coralitos Ranch, and it was filmed out there.
Okay.
And they're setting up a camera in the Jeep. You know what I mean? So when the guy's driving up and we're holding shims, we're young and in first in college. I'm in my probably like 20s, and we're talking. I'm talking to Dan Williams. He teaches over at the community college
Okay.
for film, and we start talking about the weather and stuff, and we hear somebody say, "Yeah, it's really hot here." And we turned around and it was Spielberg, so we got to chat with him for a few
Oh,
minutes
so
while they're
cool,
setting
man.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Spielberg, huh?
It was so hot. They brought a an oxygen bar and a cappuccino bar that they had
What?
set up in a tent. So whenever you're on break or you need something, you could go over there and
That's so
refresh
cool.
yourself. It was
Wow.
crazy.
They took care of you guys, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. So you said you had a few words with Spielberg.
Yeah, it
I
was
just
just, you know what I mean, just casual
it's
conversation,
casual,
nothing.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
nothing in depth, but you're trained to not, you know what I mean? He's in the director process of thinking what's seen, you know what
Right.
I mean? So he was talking to us, so we talked to him and
Okay.
just about the weather location. I did notice he's always wearing his Chuck Taylors.
No, really?
He's big into his Converse, and so he
Yeah.
was his
Wow.
usual way. Yeah.
That's cool, man. So I do want to ask, were you able to meet Shia LaBeouf on that film?
No, he wasn't in any of the scenes that we worked on.
Oh, okay. It was more
We
of the
worked in
beginning.
Deming. We worked in Deming, and then we worked in Coralitos Ranch. And then
Oh, I see.
when we finished filming here, half the gear I think went to like Connecticut or something, and then
Oh,
the
okay.
other half was put on plane cargo holds for Hawaii. I think is when
Oh,
I
wow.
think that's kind of where Shyla was in. I think he was mostly in Hawaii. I think
Oh, I
a
see.
lot of
Okay.
those scenes, but
All right. Interesting. Well, that's very cool. You got to be on that set and the film as
yeah.
well. I mean, as one of my favorite Indiana Jones is the Ark of the Covenant one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good
Yeah,
film.
yeah. I enjoyed most of them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially the first, the Temple of Doom. Is that the
Yeah,
first or
Temple of
second?
Doom. Yeah, those are good ones. You want to share a little bit more on your documentary, knowing that that's something that you are working on right now?
Oh yeah, of
Just more about
course.
it.
I'm not sure on a title. I've thought of a couple, but I'm
Okay.
not sure what. I haven't settled on anything. So let me see. Basically, it's since since before the Spaniards, my family lived in central New Mexico, from basically about the area of Isleta, where Isleta del Norte, or up north,
Okay.
all the way to about Mountaineer area
Okay.
is where the Beetle people lived. There was at one time like 12, I think, pueblos.
Okay.
And when the Spaniards came, they counted maybe 9,000 people or more.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so there's different numbers depending on times and who was documenting. But so the Spanish came. There was a lot of riots and a lot of people were killed. In some of those first rioting, my family was about 300 people were taken
Wow.
down the what they call the Royal Road or Camino Real,
Yeah.
and so they were taken down south to Paso del Norte and help build all those missions down there. So if you've been to Juarez, you know the big cathedral down there.
I have not been there in like over
So
20 years.
there's a big cathedral
Okay.
down in like the square. It's right
Okay.
next to the museum, and right next to that cathedral is the Mission Church.
Mm.
And it even has a plaque out there that says that in 1650 the Piro and the Manso helped to the Spanish and the I forgot it, right across from the Plaza Theater, that right in the middle of that where the like there's a roundabout, there is a statue of the friar, I think, or the priest that had
Okay.
Paso del Norte mission built. And so my family and others helped build all that, and then before the 1680 revolt, and then everybody else kind of was brought down.
Oh,
So
wow.
we lived at Paso del Norte, and then eventually, with everything that happened, ended up in Chamizal,
Hmm.
and we're there for a long time until about 1850s, when my family had petitioned the government with other families to come. So one of the people that first wrote down the Beetle language was James, was it James Bartlett? He worked for the government when they were doing the border coming all the way from all the way to California for the railroads. They were lining out the border, and
Okay.
so anyway, there was a lot of issues with him. He really didn't know what he was doing. There was a lot of arguments, and so he ended up losing part of the land they were trying to acquire, which he got fired, and then they brought in, I forgot the name of the guy, but he was brought in, and that's when you get the Gadsden Purchase.
Okay.
That's what that was about. And they did all the treaty, the Hidalgo and the Mesilla. And so the Mesilla Valley reopened for settlement. And my family wanted to come back. The government didn't, never responded. So eventually they came back by themselves, and they went all the way up to Doniana because that was the first area that was settled. But because of the soldiers, they ended up coming to Las Cruces
Oh, wow.
and it ended up settling here. Um, most of them
Interesting.
living in town. So it's just the history of
A lot of
what
history.
happened to them
Yeah.
and everything. So, fun fact: Las Cruces, before it was ever Las Cruces, was
Yeah.
called Las Liebres.
Oh,
Do you know what
wow.
Las Liebres is?
No.
They're the hares
The hairs? Okay.
because of all the rabbits. So like, there's still people that do rabbit hunts to this day.
Really? They do rabbit
Yeah,
hunts up there?
it's
Oh,
a
wow.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's a pretty big thing, but yeah.
And so, I just to ask, but do you know when they changed the name to Las Cruces?
That I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know that it was ever like an official name. That's just what my family, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
native people called it.
Oh,
Is
wow.
you know what I mean? Just like there's a certain section in town called Chiva Town
Oh, okay.
because they had the goats, you know what I mean? So there's different
Yeah.
places in town according to just like Tortugas. Do you
Oh.
ever know that there was tortoises here at one time?
I've heard of that. Yeah. And
Yeah, so there was. I remember when I was little climbing on one at my grandma's house, like because they were
really?
just around. Yeah, and I don't know if they just removed them or they killed them or what.
Oh, wow. And when you see that this documentary is going to be finished, or what, like, what's your goal on that to see when it's?
I'm trying to get it finished within this next year, but it's changed
Oh, okay.
because of the perspective I want to prove. It's almost like almost three documentaries in one.
Wow, three?
Yeah, well, because it's
Like,
kind of my story
okay,
of how I'm involved, but then who the Beetle people are and what happened to them, but
okay,
also in telling my story, connecting the two with the story of my family, the Avalos family,
okay,
and kind of our perspective. Because originally there was 10 families that they listed as native families coming and settling here.
okay.
So there's still a lot of different groups and different things scattered because of how things went on
So it's
back in
pretty
the
much
day.
going to be like a three-part series.
I'm looking at that. A
Yeah,
friend of mine was talking about that. It may be a better series because of how much detail is in it.
right.
So we've filmed some of the things up north and some of the things in town. I still want to do more interviews, but then we'll have a day. And like I said, I'm self funding. So we'll have a day when we go to El Paso and Juarez and kind of, probably more than one day, obviously, but you know what I mean? Spend
Yeah,
that time filming those sections.
that's cool.
Yeah.
When do you think you're gonna, well, one last question for this topic, but when do you think you're gonna start up again?
Actually, it's been on my mind. I was at an art show
Okay.
and my mind's been focused on art and I think I've done like 3 or 4 pieces in the last like 2 days.
Really? Oh shoot.
Yeah. I get like those moments where I can't get something out of my hand. I just have to I have like 4 or 5 projects I'm working on. I'm working on a short that's comes from a story of do you know what a lechuza is? A witch bird?
I've heard of it,
That
yeah.
that
Mm,
comes from a story a situation that happened with one when I was younger.
okay.
And then we were talking about the whole behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. So I'm it's very ambitious. I'm barely starting to work on it because I'm working on it with a friend. But
Okay.
there's a story that I have the idea for called Threshold,
Threshold. Okay.
and it's not really my story, but it stems from my story in that that was one of the hard things for me.
Mm,
Is I came from a place where you don't want to be seen. We're called ninjas. You know what I mean? We wear all black so that when we come
okay.
on stage, you don't see us. We switch things, we go.
Yeah.
To now, the lights are on. I'm standing in front of everybody and I'm supposed to be seen. And so I'm calling it threshold because it's that almost like Alice in Wonderland crossing through the mirror. You know what I mean? The
Right,
different
right.
realities of the two of my story.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Threshold. Okay. So that's kind of like from working behind the scenes, like you said, to now you're in the limelight of being out.
Yeah, yeah, and tell the story of this guy who's changing
Yeah.
from what he was to something new, and you know what I mean. That whole, but
Was
the ambitious part is I want to do it Southwest, but
okay.
Bollywood style. Like I want to mix the two. I
Okay.
don't know if you're into Bollywood movies, but I really like them.
I have not seen it. No.
So
Bollywood?
yeah, Bollywood where it's from India where they do dramas and action movies, but in the middle of it there'll be like a song and it'll be singing about you. So it's like a musical,
Really?
but it all kind of mixed in. Yeah. So
I'll have to look
there's
that
a
up.
there's a Bollywood movie called Gahinji,
Okay, Hinge.
and it's been on my mind ever since I saw that because this is like it's like an action, suspense, love story,
Wow, really?
musical, like you know what I mean? It's
Uh,
all these things,
like
and
all
I'm
these
like,
together?
and I want to bring the native culture, the
Okay.
Spanish culture, and the culture from Las Cruces in this area all together. And I think I have a way to do it, and so that's one of the things I'm working on. So.
Wow, that'd be cool to see. But I have to look that up because I do like musicals, but I mean, for something like that, I have not seen where it's all like
Yeah.
conjunction together, all of it together like that.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I wish you the best on your projects, man. You have a lot going. I didn't even know you're an artist.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
So
have
most
anything
people
next to you
don't.
you want to show or no?
What's that?
Do you have any
Oh, you
artwork
know what?
next to you?
I'll do something a little controversial. I'll show you.
All right.
I'm almost done.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have to recolor a section. Let's see if you can even see. You might not. I
Uh,
don't know if you can.
no, wait. I see barely. I can see it. What? Wow. I mean, I saw. I mean, what? So describe what it is. Like, what's
So my son got a pair of glasses, and it's 3 reading glasses, and that's where this box came from.
okay?
And so I took the box. I don't know why, just the design of the box. I loved it, and I just got this idea. And so I cut out all these people. It's the DEI, and it's discard because of all the things going on with DEI.
Okay.
So it's all the different characters, all the different civil rights, all the different. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see
yeah. The
the
bottom part.
rainbow, the flag,
Yeah.
the kids, the pledge, and then if you turn it over, there's people on the back. You have
It's kind of blurred out on that one. Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, wow, dude.
Thurgood Marshall, you
That's
have Rosa
cool.
Parks, and you have all these things. But in the midst of it, you have this tree.
Yeah.
growing out of it. I mean,
That's
with a new sprout, you know what I mean? And
yeah, the new sprout.
you can see it's open. But yeah, so it's just one of the, and all these are recycled parts that I save from packages and stuff that I use to do it.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know if you can see my. I'll show you one more.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fine.
let's see. I know it's a little hard to see on here, but
Oh wow. Okay.
let me move
Let's
my.
see, it's kind of blurred out. There you go, right there. Wow, man. So just talk about that. What's with the painting on that one? The story.
Um, so my wife's coworker, she's leaving for another job, and so my
Okay.
wife asked if I could paint something for her, um, as a going away. So I did. One of the things I was gonna do. Well, it's another piece I have, but it was more of a comical piece where the oryx has like a fly and he's wearing sunglasses,
Oh,
but
that's
it has
cool.
native. It has a native like sun with a compass, and I was drawing that, but I in the midst of practicing drawing the oryx,
Mhm.
I started to sketch ahead, and I just liked it, so I kept going, and it just turned into two different pictures. So I was working on both of them at the same time, but yeah, just I
Nice,
was like,
man.
okay. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty
I do a
cool
little bit of
painting.
here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And how long you been a artist?
All my life.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, well, when I was in San Antonio, my parents they had a San Antonio Art Institute,
Oh, they did.
and
Okay.
they would send me like to an after school program, and one of the places they would take us to the zoo, and they would
Okay.
let us take us to different sections and let us draw the animals, and you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like so
That's
that's one of the
cool.
things I enjoyed and stuff. Yeah, so
Nice,
I, I've
man.
never I've never really branched out all that much, but sorry,
Yeah.
from time to time, but you know what I mean. It's something I got back into when I went back to school, and I was
Yeah.
taking some art classes and fell in love with it again. It's just kind of taken off since I've started. So
Well, I'm glad that you have different projects you like working on, from writing scripts, making films, and then your artwork. So
yeah,
good to have that. I'm the same way. I like having I like doing films, I like podcasting, but also like just music, kind of exploring creating music as well. So it's good to have a different genres of different things you like doing with of different genres. So,
yeah, definitely. Like you were talking about music. I know you were into music. How did you get into that?
well, I'm a drummer. I've been a drummer for over 15 years. I just haven't played in a while. But my family's musicians. My dad's a singer, songwriter, guitar player. My brother sings and plays guitar. It's
Oh,
just been brought up a lot in my family of just the music side.
yeah.
But one thing I was in a punk rock band about almost 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and played pretty much a lot of venues in El Paso and battled the bands at Lowbrow, and it was a
Okay.
punk rock band. It was pretty cool. It was a good experience. I was with them for a year and a half. And then after that, then Rhythm and Roads started.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love music from a lot of the style I like is more like classic rock, 80s pop, well, there's from Depeche Mode, Duran Duran,
Oh yeah.
U2, different rock, Sting from The Police, Genesis. I mean, I go way back.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no,
Yeah,
those are all
so
great.
but music, man, it's just that's a big part of my life as well. So
Thanks.
yeah, what kind of artists or music do you like? Certain genres?
It varies. I mean, I like all different kinds. Usually, it just depends. But I tend to stay more elevators. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I have
They're
not,
like,
no.
or I do a lot of like instrumental type music. Nujabes, he
Okay.
did the, you know who Nujabes is. So it just varies. I don't know if you know the seatbelts. They
No.
did. They're another one that did. What is that?
Um,
Space Cowboy. What's that animation? Cowboy Bebop. They did a lot of the music for that show and stuff, and
oh, really?
they have some singing, but most of it is just music.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I go way back too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the I grew up in the '80s and '90s, so you know what I mean. My stuff. goes all over the place
Oh
from
yeah.
classic rock to one of the things that growing up in San Antonio is they used to have a was the oldest radio station over there was called Magic 105.
Oh,
And
okay.
my parents love going to concerts. So we'd go like to SeaWorld, and on the big giant map, you everybody just picnics, and they would have all these oldies groups come out. And so
Oh, cool.
I'm in like elementary school, just chilling, listening to like um the Pips, and you know what I mean, the Four
Oh, wow.
Seasons, and Tommy James and the Shondells, and you know what I mean. Like I remember falling asleep to Secret Agent Man
What?
as the closer for one of those
Dang.
concerts.
Wait, so you got to see Frankie Valley?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
yeah.
I
My
like the
parents
Four
would take me to
Seasons.
all of them. Also, I can't remember the name of the hotel, but on the Riverwalk there was a hotel, and on the bottom floor there was a jazz club right in the corner.
Oh,
And my
that's cool.
parents would love to go dance, so my parents would leave me at the table, go dance, and they would give me these non-alcoholic beers called Unicorn. And
What?
I would sit at the table, and I would just, to this day, I love blues and jazz, and
Wow.
but I would just got to, I got to sit there as a kid and listen to all these guys play. So
Well, that's cool. You got to see Four Seasons because I am a big
yeah,
Frankie Valley and Four Seasons fan.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so especially Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry,
Mhm.
Walk Like a Man. Yeah, those are classics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's cool. You got to see that. I mean, I've been to San Antonio once, but the Riverwalk and all that, and I know San Antonio is very big on the music scene as well. So is Austin. But then that's another reason why I titled Rhythm and Roads, because music, the rhythm of life, how it brings all of us together. And I feel like every one of us has our own soundtrack if you think about it, because a lot of the music that you listen to growing up and then later on in life you listen to it and you're like, oh, that takes me back to certain times in my life of good memories, sometimes not good memory. Who knows, right? But
Yeah.
but it is our soundtrack, right? So we all have a part of certain artists that have been there through our journey, and so that's why I titled it Rhythm and Roads. And of course,
Yeah.
the roads is your journey, your own personal journey that for those that I don't know if you believe in God or not, but I feel that every person has a purpose and a journey that God puts on earth and to be the light, to make a difference
Yeah.
and to help others, with theirs. So the rhythm and roads.
Yeah, that's a big part, especially nowadays, um is loving others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's sometimes there doesn't seem to be enough of that. You know what I mean? To just in that moment. I mean, I guess that's another thing about being an actor, stepping away from behind the scenes to be is being more in touch with that emotion
Mm,
and living in the present. You know what I mean? It's the yes and to have fun, but it's
mhm.
also living in this present moment because I think we forget that. We are so caught up in the business of it that we forget that when
Yeah.
we're meeting with somebody, it's like, wait, I got to live in this moment with
And
this
yeah,
person, not trying to think about what I just did or what I'm going to do, but to just be here now. So,
yeah. And I totally agree because a lot of us, and even myself at times, I get caught up in not being in the moment. And sometimes when I'm at work, I'm already thinking about future stuff or certain somebody wants to talk and yeah, we'll talk, but then you just gotta understand like, but if I could just give this person 5 minutes to listen, to really listen and hear what they have to say, it might mean everything to them, and that's sometimes a gift because yes, a lot of us, and I'm not excluding myself, but if you go to like Starbucks or certain places you walk around, you see like even like I said, I'm including myself, we're on our phones, right? We're catching up on messages, we're catching up on emails, we're passing by each other. We'll never probably see each other again because we see strangers all the time, but it's just like, but what about that moment when you have someone with you? Like do you have your phone or are you present in the moment with them at Starbucks, at a restaurant, lunch? If someone's calling you or you see your messages blowing up on your phone, it'll wait because you never know when your time's up either. You never know if that's the last moment you're going to have with that person, either family or friend. And then the next thing you know, a week later, they're gone and you're like, God, I should have gave more attention to them or I should have spent more time with them instead of always my phone. Um, and I've had
yeah, I don't.
situations like that with friends that have regretted that. They're like, God, like I shouldn't have. you know, I was so busy at the moment. I remember him asking me stuff, and I just was like caught up on responding to certain messages. And next thing you know, a week later, some tragic accident happened, and you're like, you regret certain things, you know? But anyway, that's
I mean
my
that
views
that's
on that.
that's part of the motivation, not completely, but part of the motivation in the documentary. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Documenting my family and their stories and what they remember, and you know what I
yeah.
mean. Because there's a lot of that that's been erased or was taken when we were taken. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The language as well as all that. But going back to the phones, it's become an easy convenience,
Yeah.
especially when you're somewhere and you're nervous, to just get your phone and okay, I'm not doing nothing. You know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
yeah, and I've
To
been there. I've
not
done
feel
it.
like you're
Yeah.
out when everybody's watching me because they don't know what I'm doing. But if you get your phone, everybody ignores you.
Or
But
sitting by
yeah, it's an easy
yourself.
convenience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
And not
true. I mean,
engaging even with a stranger that's sitting there, or you know what I mean, like or you miss something. It's very
yeah,
Ferris
that's
Bueller.
true.
You know what I mean? If you don't stop and smell the flowers once in a while, you might miss something. So
Yeah. And actually, I agree. I've actually done that where I'm, let's say, at a coffee shop in downtown and I'm waiting for my coffee. So I'm sitting down and there I am on my phone for a good minute until they say, Joshua, your whatever coffee I ordered is up. But instead of actually just saying, you know what, hold on, let me look around this place. Let me actually people watch. Let me, hey, if there's someone next to me, hey, how's your day going? You know, some people might want to talk. Some people are like, oh, good. All right. But at least I engaged, right?
yeah,
But yeah, sometimes even if you don't have the chance to engage, just look around the environment and just
oh,
see
yeah.
like, wow, like, just you never, like you said, small things matter at times.
Well, for me, it's two things. One is acting. We learn to people watch, to see mannerisms, to see how people interact. But
Yeah.
two is I grew up. It's kind of weird. I grew up where a friend of mine, their uncle, kind of took me under their wing for the time I was with them,
Okay.
and he kind of he showed me a lot of like martial arts things. Not that I'm not anything proficient, but things like listening, where you
Mm.
meditate and sit and see how many things you can listen to. It kind of taps into some of that.
Oh wow.
But one of the things was to watch people's expression, where their hands are, what they're doing. And
Mm.
for me, I have ADHD and OCD, so I'm very like what's happening. You know what I mean? Every
Oh,
little
okay.
thing catches my eye, but also to look, is that guy mad or is he upset? You know what I mean? Like, and I have a lot of like, I guess like empathetic, where I can pick up on energies and emotions
Oh,
that
okay.
I've noticed as I've progressed in acting. I
Yeah.
think little things, and just things that happen um in my life, that I'm able to pick up on a lot of those things and notice
Oh.
them. Um and just deal with all those different situations. So I think because of my ADHD and how I grew up, there's a lot of like what they call PTSD or CPTSD or whatever. And so I pick up on a lot of that stuff when stuff's happening. I remember this is a while ago when you used to have to go to the electric company to pay the bill. And
Yeah.
I was standing in line, and I literally, the security guard must have been like 70, 80 years old.
Okay.
And I'm standing in line, and two people in front of me and the guy behind me arguing,
What?
and like they're starting to get into it, and like
Yeah.
one guy steps out of line, and people are starting to look, and people are getting scared, and I'm
Dang.
looking at the security from the corner of my eye, and he's like, he's just sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know, he knows what's going on. I said, but if he doesn't stop, they could be in a real fight. So I didn't know what to do, and so I'm like, I leaned over to him and I said really loudly, like, "Hey, sir, these guys are arguing. You may want to handle this." Like, and it put them on notice, and I think they just felt uncomfortable, that they
Yeah.
just kind of shrunk back and got back in line. But just I always end up having to deal with weird situations like that.
So
So
did he do anything about it?
once he got down and moved, they noticed he noticed,
Oh,
and
okay.
because I was loud, they realized, oh, everybody knows that we're arguing, and you know what I mean.
Well,
They
yeah,
had
you're
been
like right
so
behind me.
well, they had been so into like being
Yeah.
upset with each other that they
Yeah.
forgot about everybody else. But once they noticed, they felt self-conscious,
I
and we're
see.
like, oh, we should behave now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we forgot where we were.
Like, oh
But
shoot,
I
he
was
called
like,
the
what
security
do I
guard.
do to not get him in trouble with these
Yeah.
guys and these guys to? But yeah, so
Interesting, man. Wow. But yes, I do remember the electric company. My late mother, when I was a kid, we would go to the one on Albertsons in El Paso, Montana, I think.
Oh,
It's still there, but they don't go over there and you don't pay your bill
yeah,
anymore.
it's all
But it yeah,
online.
but it was
Yeah.
in there, and we would go, and I remember
If
her.
you had if you go somewhere, it's you know people were like, "What? You had to go where to pay what?" Like,
Yeah. It's like, what? You don't do that on the apps? Nope. Back then, you had to
yeah,
walk in the store and stand in line, and yep,
right.
I remember that. Well, thank you, Gizmo, for coming on Rhythm and
Yeah,
Roads and sharing your
appreciate it.
story and the journey. For the viewers to find you on social media, how can they find you?
It's just GA Portillo. It doesn't do the three, so it's the I the you know what I
Oh,
mean for the third,
okay.
because I'm the third, so yeah,
Okay. So just first Portillo.
just GA Portillo the
Okay.
third, yeah, or three.
And we look forward to seeing your documentary. I know it doesn't have a title yet. Is that correct?
No, I'm not sure. I
Not
haven't
yet.
settled on one, but yeah,
Okay. But yeah, keep me posted on it. And once it's out, then we can do another interview and
yeah,
talk about it.
definitely. I
I
look
mean, I
forward
like
to
to
it.
see it and give my
Yeah,
review on it. I think
okay.
it'd be cool. I love documentaries. I actually like watching them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a big documentary fan too.
Yeah,
Big
just to
fan.
get the experience on music artists, on actors, filmmakers, just pretty much whoever. But well, guys, I just want to say also like and subscribe. I really would appreciate it for Rhythm and Rose. It helps the artists, helps the podcast. That way we can keep these stories going to inspire the next filmmaker, actor, author, the next artist out there. Every story matters and your story matters. So if you'd like to come on Rhythm and Roads, feel free to shoot me a message on Rhythm and Roads Official on Instagram. Love to have you on to have you share your story. So thank you, Goodmo, for coming on,
Thank
sharing
you.
your story. It's such a pleasure getting to know you. And
Thank you.
guys, we will catch you on the next episode.